This festival always does such a wonderful job putting those montages together, so congratulations to Mike McGee and everybody involved with editing that. It was just terrific and a great way to set the stage. And I'll tell you what, while I was watching that just now for my second time, I really studied these two gentlemen's hair color, so now I know which one's the chocolate and which one's the peanut butter. Please help me welcome two brand spanking new Academy Award nominees, Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. Welcome to Santa Barbara, gents.
Thanks, man.
It's great to see you both.
Great to see you, Dave.
Okay, so by my math, you two first met not because of In Bruges, but a couple of years before In Bruges. I think around 2006, you were going to maybe work on another film together that I think, Brendan, you were going to direct. Ended up not happening, but that was the first meeting, 2006. I mean, would you guys have thought 17 years later, here you'd be at a show like this with your first Oscar nomination for a movie you've done together?
Actually, I have the piece of paper here I wrote. No, not at all. I mean, I have a fairly fecund imagination, but not feckin' imagination. Fecund imagination. But I would never have thought that we'd end up here on this couch together, you know, for this film, having a chat and being here in front of you all. No.
You know, we had Carrie Condon here last night, and I learned all about feckin'.
Oh, you would,
so
yeah.
I'm a little bit of an
She
expert.
took care of that masterclass for us.
She did,
That's
right.
that done.
What are your recollections of that first meeting in the Chelsea Hotel?
It's in the Chelsea Hotel, yeah. And my son Donald was in over on Broadway, I think, at the time. And so he put us up in the Chelsea Hotel, or pointed us in that direction. So we were kind of in the center of it all. That was a year later, wasn't it?
He put you up? I didn't know.
I think, no, I'm getting mixed up.
That's when you started testing him for drugs.
Yeah, I know.
When he started.
Anyway, I met Colin in the Chelsea Hotel, and there was something that just from the very beginning, there was a kind of an innate courtesy. There was a kind of a generosity of spirit, great crack, good fun, and there was a kind of an element of integrity and decency about him that kind of shone through. That was kind of pretty. It just felt a very true instinct. And I had come trying to get this film sort of off the ground that I'd been attempting to adapt from the book "At Swim Two Birds" that unfortunately still hasn't grown wings. But
Are you going to go back and have a look?
Pardon?
Are you going to go back and have a look?
I have to balance it with that of a divorce if I do.
How much are you willing to pay for your art in real life?
This is the big question, yeah. Do I cut my fingers off to spite my hand? Yeah, so it's like, no, I didn't imagine that we'd be here, but it's funny, that montage there gave me a kind of joy about all the journeys we've had separately and together over the years. And this really is very special, I have to tell you. Thank you very much. Thank you for this.
So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to take a look at some clips of both of your work throughout the years in films that you've done together and separately. But I want to just take a couple minutes before we break into the first clip, because you guys both come at acting from very different ways. I mean, you were making your first films as someone in his low 20s, and you didn't make your first film until a decade later in age. I think you were 34, because you were a school teacher, Brendan, for 10 years, along with acting. What kind of a teacher were you? I know you taught literature in a Catholic school, but when you think back to that man, were you tough? Were you?
Oh yeah.
I was taught a lesson in my first year of teaching practice, where due to extraordinary laziness and lack of foresight, I left it too late to get to school apart from my old alma mater where I'd gone to Christian Brothers School. And I went back in thinking I knew how this thing worked. And I was absolutely eaten alive by the pupils. I said the first day, you know, lads, don't try it on. I went to the school. I know all the tricks. Forget about it. They didn't. And they destroyed me. So I learned after that you have to have a kind of a bit of a bark just at the beginning. And I loved my teaching, I have to say. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the lads. And it was a great time. But once I was able to write actor on my passport, I found I'd come home in a very particular way.
It would be amazing to have him as a teacher, though, because he's somebody who connects so deeply to what he does and cares so deeply about anywhere that his energy is directed towards, you know, whether it's his kids, Mary, the missus, and I know him, of course, you know, mostly having worked with him very closely, and the amount of care and the amount of attention and consideration, which is sometimes best delivered, you know, with a bit of an iron fist. At times it has to be in that kind of environment, but it would have been amazing. What I'm saying is I might have finished school if I had you as a teacher. I might have stayed around. Or you might have thrown me. You might have thrown me out earlier.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't have been through. You wouldn't. No, I'd be on.
No, you would have saw through me.
I'd be on to you like a.
Yeah, you would have saw through me is the thing.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting.
But I did have to say the Madame Moody experience on the Harry Potter 4 was my first one, but it was. I was able to challenge, because I was a teacher in that, so being able to channel my own school years, but hopefully less those than the way I had been taught. I remember pegging a piece of chalk at a child, all of whom had very different kind of educational sort of experiences than what I had had. And the kids were absolutely boggle-eyed that anybody would do that except one Irish kid who was on the cast. And he just dodged very quickly as if...
That's brilliant.
If you were to be a teacher, Colin, what subject would you teach?
Truancy.
Nice.
So, I mean, if Brendan came at it from a kind of more literature background, what was your way into performing? What was the early inspiration for you?
I think it was the impetus to try and figure out, to be honest with you, just to try and figure out, without being as cognizant of it at the time, I had a lot of stuff inside me, a lot of curiosity, a lot of questions, a lot of fear. And I think that I know that the first acting class I did was with a teacher called Colin Carney, who's an extraordinary actor in his own right, and an amazing, amazing teacher. And it was just, I was given a platform and I was offered a space to articulate the uncertainty of some of the thoughts I had about myself and about the world, and also the curiosity of the same. So it was that. I never grew up in a house like, you know, our world where emotions were kind of seen as weakness, and you didn't talk about your feelings and all that kind of stuff you can imagine. And so to finally be in a space where those things weren't only welcome, but they were invited, was an extraordinary thing for me. And that's still what it is to me today. There's a fundamental experience that has never changed from the first acting class I went into to today. I think I lost sight of it for a couple of years for various other reasons, but it's certainly present today.
I love that. So what I want to do, the first kind of montage of clips that I want to show, I put them together because for both of you, I feel like they were the breakout moment, the first breakout moment. So the first clips that we're going to watch for you, Colin, is a clip from Tigerland. And I remember seeing Tigerland when it came out in 2000. And a bunch of us from Entertainment Weekly, where I was working at the time, went to see this because Joel Schumacher, the director, set up a screening for us. And I remember walking out thinking, who is this guy? I had never seen you before. And what state in the American South is he from?
Yeah. Because that accent was kind of all over the place, is what you're saying.
No, it was pretty great.
He's from Georgia. No, he's from North Carolina. He's Texan.
No, that's really not what I meant. I meant it was so good that he's
Thank
like...
you. I know I'm being silly.
Right. And then,
Thank you.
And then the other clip that we're going to see right now is from The General, which is a terrific film that you did, Brendan, in 1998. And you had already done roles in Far and Away and Michael Collins at that point and Braveheart, but I feel like this was a big breakout. So let's watch these two, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it afterwards.